Very exciting time for May players right now. And I'm just going to say, dude, this is the closest thing that we're going to get to the Overwatch team admitting their mistake.
Love is kind of crazy with a spooky little boy like you. Spooky little boy like you.
We have the biggest, grandest news that you have ever wanted to hear in the past few months. And when I tell you, dude, I was so excited when I heard this. The amount of notifications I got from people on Discord, on YouTube, on TikTok, people commenting, messaging me saying, Spooky, the news is here. They're doing it. They are redeeming our girl. I got so many messages about it. Everybody, I loved it. I love that when everybody heard that, I even had people that don't even play Overwatch anymore. They heard the news and then messaged me about it. The fact that I love that you guys are so excited for me, that warms my heart so much. Obviously, I was very excited when I heard the news. I took a little bit closer of a look at the director's take that talked about it. Now, there's a few things in this article that we could talk, but I'm just going to be specifically talking about what they mentioned in regards to May, and then what predictions we might be seeing. At least for me, when I've been playing Overwatch for 7, almost 8 years now, I know how these things work. I'm going to give my prediction on probably what's going to happen with May. Now that might not happen. I'll maybe even talk about what I hope is going to happen, what I think should happen, to this hero. After playing her for so long, I feel like I've got a pretty decent take on what is good and balanced for May, for the player side and for people that play against the hero or with the hero. So we're going to talk about all that right now in this video. This was in the director's take up here. It came out September 22nd, so yesterday. Talks about quite a few things, including the release of Alari and how their takes on that, some things with the changes that they had overall, but specifically we're looking at this article right here. Or actually, I guess these two, because these are both kind of relevant to the heroes that we play. So we're going to take a look at this real quick. So looking closer, it's season 6 and the current meta game. We've seen Bastion, Orisa, and Torbjorn rise in popularity. Standout among these has been Bastion, which I never really got to play the ultra buffed Bastion, but I do love playing him. And I will say the changes that I saw when they originally buffed him were definitely way too much. Definitely way too much. He's been succeeding at all ranks and is higher than we like at the highest levels of plays, around a 55% unmirrored win rate. We're added with the added reliability of his primary fire and tactical grenade. We're going to remove his armor repair, which is sad. I really did like the configuration, the little boost there, because it made it feel like more of like a rush, like a W key kind of ability, instead of like a stand back and shoot kind of thing. That extra armor made it so where like it was more of like what they want to call a tempo tank, right? So you hit that shift button, you press W with Bastion, you can actually get that push, that pressure on the team with the added armor that you got. I thought it was great. I thought it felt really good. I'm sad that they're removing it. It was fun getting to play Bastion a little bit more. Transferring into confusion. That has made Bastion quite difficult to kill, even when out of a position. Note here in the middle of this red block. They did hotfix that. That's already live. We played a little bit of it. The reasoning on that, and I read a little bit on it, was that they didn't like that he countered dive heroes, which really bugged me, because when you think of like they said dive tanks specifically, when you think about that, you think like Winston, Diva, Wrecking Ball. I think Bastion should punish dive tanks. I mean, he's supposed to be like a bunker type thing, and bunker usually counters dive. It's usually going to be poke that can really break up bunker, or but I guess they want him to be more susceptible to dive, which it's whatever. I thought it felt good that Bastion was able to, he was a good counter pick for dive tanks. Outside of that, I mean, he just becomes another spam hero, which is not going to be fun for Bastion players, if that's what their end goal is. Now, I'm not saying that's really what's happening. I'm just saying if that's their goal with this, is to make him more, they don't want him to be a good, or like a great counter to dive tanks. I think it's going to be really sad for Bastion players, because like I said, it's just going to make him a spam hero. Like, that's all he's going to do. He's only going to play in spam compositions where you're playing distance. There's no room to play outside of that if that's their goal. But you know, that's just my take on it. I had fun playing Bastion. I don't think people had too much of an issue with the added survivability, but maybe it was a thing. Maybe I just didn't notice. Who knows? But getting on to the meat and potatoes here, they said some other adjustments that we are reverting or pulling back on at the start of season 7 Orisa's fortify damage reduction, which is great. Bless. Wow. By the way, man, wow. Who would have thought that they were gonna pull back Orisa's fortify reduction? Wow, that's crazy. After buffing her 4 times in a row, and every single time I said, why are they still buffing her damage reduction? I'm like, they're just gonna have to revert it in a few months, and then here we are. They also said Torbjorn's primary fire recovery time, May's changes that we introduced in season 5. On those reverts to May, it's important to recognize when a swath of changes isn't resulting in improved gameplay. And I'm just gonna say, dude, this is the closest thing that we're gonna get to the Overwatch team admitting their mistake. And I said it from the right from the beginning. I can go back to the first video where I said this is bad. Like this isn't fun. I feel like I'm getting less value, even though I might still be winning the same amount of games. It doesn't feel nearly as fun. It's boring. I don't enjoy it. The enemy team doesn't enjoy it. I don't know why we're doing this. You gave it a shot. We need to like revert this back. And then I feel like they kept trying to double down on it and like compensate for it. But this is the first time that I've seen them say something like this as far as like a change goes. Didn't result in improved gameplay, and I hope they recognize that. Our goal of trying to reintroduce some of her previous mini game to her primary fire was a good one, but it resulted in a hero that's more frustrating to play against. I don't think this was as big of a deal as it was to play her. I didn't really hear that many people complaining about the May proc shot being an issue that they complained against. It was the people playing May. When I heard of the people playing it, everyone just hated it. And this is a good word, frustrating. It was very frustrating to play it because you felt like you weren't doing anything. You were shooting little pellets at the enemy. The only way you would actually get any damage value is hitting your right clicks, which again is fine, but it's like the primary fire no longer did really anything. I mean, it gave us the slowdown, but the proc shot rarely was able to get triggered, at least in higher tier play. Like nobody really could trigger this. And now I did hear that people in lower ranks were able to get more proc shots, especially with the melee going off. But I'm telling you, when you get up into plat or above, you don't get that close. You don't get that little window to hit that without getting punished for it. And that's the problem. Was it was frustrating because it wasn't worth the risk to go for the proc shot than it was to just keep laying on left click to slow him down, or just go for right clicks. It just wasn't worth it, like to center your gameplay around that. I don't think it was that frustrating to play against. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I didn't hear anybody really talking about that. All I heard was the overwhelming amount of May players that stopped playing the hero, me included, just about, because it was just not a fun thing to do. It made the gameplay boring. It made me not want to. Honestly, it made it hard to hit go live and play May, because it was just like, I don't have fun with this hero anymore. I mean, I've always had fun with May, and it's like all of a sudden they make this change. It's like, which on paper doesn't seem like it's a huge change to the hero, but when you play it, it's like, damn, this isn't fun anymore. Like it's crazy how quickly that can shift. And there was other heroes that were more fun to play, in my opinion, which were Sim, Bastion, Ashe, just other DPS I was finding more enjoyable to play than May, because it was frustrating to play the hero. It's just like, there's not a good way to get value out of this new thing, and they compensated her damage for it. So now it's like it's just not fun. It just wasn't fun. And I think the majority of people will probably agree with me on that. Especially from a tank point of view, wasn't clearly more engaging or effective to play. It definitely was not more engaging. It definitely wasn't more effective. Both of those are accurate. So it's a good thing that they acknowledge that it was not more engaging. It was not more fun. It did not make the gameplay more intricate, more rewarding for skill. It was just a little gimmicky thing they threw in there that just didn't get value. Now again, I don't want to hate on the Overwatch team for like trying stuff out, but like, you got to recognize this stuff earlier, man. We're getting close to season 7, and that was in there for so long, dude. You destroyed a hero. You destroyed a player base of hero because it was just a bad call. And I don't think I understand leaving like a few weeks to like really gather some feedback, but that was just a bad call, man. That was just a bad call. And then they go on to like talk about some more stuff. But the big thing was that they were acknowledging that the May changes were a bad idea, or not a bad idea. They just didn't do what they wanted it to do. So they said they're going to be walking it back, essentially. Now we don't know that the Overwatch team means we're going to be walking it back to what it was before. My recommendation was and still is, to make it exactly like it was before. Or at least don't touch the damage. Keep the damage the same. 100 DPS felt great. You can even scale back or slow down, or I don't care, increase it, whatever you want. The 100 damage per second felt great. I've been playing this hero for so long, and I said it from the beginning, is that Mei was in the most balanced spot that she has ever been in Overwatch history. Her slow wasn't too oppressive. Her damage wasn't too crazy. She punished the heroes that she needed to punish, things that people that got too close that shouldn't be that close. For examples, Genji's, Tracers, Wrecking Ball, Reinhardt. Like she punished. It was a check for people for getting too close. And then when you got rid of that damage and added the proc shot, all of a sudden she's not threatening to those heroes anymore. I cannot tell you how many times since that change, like I was able to successfully contest and or win duels with Genji pretty consistently, right? And I would think a Mei versus a Genji one-on-one in close quarters should be a Mei, right? The Mei would probably win that engagement, or should, in theory, right? That would make sense. I cannot tell you the last time that I won a duel against a Genji on a 1v1 with Mei. Genjis they're not scared of Mei anymore. They're just not. They just walk up to you, they just right click you. I can't do anything because right click, especially with him having deflect, me having to do actual damage requires right click, which is a projectile, takes time to charge up, and it's accuracy, very accuracy based. So it's like I'm gonna lose that duel, and if I'm trying to left click him, it's not really gonna be doing enough damage to really, contest him enough, or damage him or kill him, especially when they can just deflect your proc shot or your melee with their deflect when they get in that deep chill state. We need to make the damage back to 100 damage per second. You can take the slowdown. Honestly, Mei should fit the DPS category a little bit more. She can have a little bit of a slowdown, but that damage is what's really going to keep people at bay. If they get that close, they get a little bit of a slowdown. They also get a normal amount of damage from a DPS. She is a damage hero, correct? Right, she's probably the closest thing to a tank in the damage category, but she needs to be a damage hero. Like, the majority of her needs to be a damage hero, and that's what it felt like, was a DPS that did what she needed to do, especially with there no longer being two tanks in the game. Mei being CC or having her slowdown is not as effective because she's only affecting one hero as heavily, because she was really good at checking tanks. Now that there's only one tank, she gets to check one less hero, and it's much more damage centered, especially with the tanks having more damage and more survivability. Mei needs to have that extra damage to compensate, and taking that all the way to 55 was just so rough. Even the buff up to 70 still just doesn't feel like enough. So again, that's my recommendation for people that are watching. Hopefully it gets up. Hopefully they're either planning on that, or that is the goal, or hopefully they're listening to some kind of feedback. But Mei felt, I played her in Overwatch 1 heavily. I played her in Overwatch 2 obviously very heavily. On launch, it was fantastic. They did a perfect job. And I think changing that hero that drastically is going to be a mistake, especially since they did such a great job, with it. And I think there's other heroes that probably could use the changes to make them more balanced for the overall feeling of the game. But that's my recommendation. Just scale it back and find a different way to add CC into the game. She just feels so good. And that's what they want. That's their goal. At least what they said is they want the game to be more fun, right? They want to encourage metas that are more fun, gameplay that's more fun, enjoyable to watch and enjoyable to play. So that's my recommendation. Now, what do I think? My prediction on what they're probably going to do. Okay, they're probably not going to revert back to Mei 100 damage per second. They already stated, like I was saying, they want to add more CC into the game, and Mei is a CC hero. So I'm putting myself in their mind. They think, okay, we need to keep the CC in Mei, but obviously the deep chill isn't going to work. So they're probably going to buff her damage a little bit. I'm expecting 80 damage per second, and they're going to keep the slow probably up to 50%. I don't think we're going to get our 100 damage per second again. I think they're going to keep trying to keep Mei as more of a CC utility hero, which is sad. But putting from all the things I've seen in the Overwatch team, my brain is just screaming that it's going to go up a little bit in damage. They're going to take out the proc shot, and they're going to keep the extra slow in there. So Mei is going to be just a tank checker as far as her left clicks go. She might be able to brawl or duel a little bit more, but she's still not going to be one where she can go off and flanks by herself. She can't go for these 1v1 engagements. She's going to get most value just chilling out with her team. It'll feel a little bit better, obviously, with the extra damage, but she's not going to be like she was before. That's my prediction on what I think they're going to do, just from what I know of the Overwatch team. When people are screaming that we're getting 100 damage per second back, they're convinced of it. And why I want to agree with you, and I hope you're correct, seeing the stuff from the Overwatch team, the changes they make and how they do things, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's probably, so I'm trying to prep you guys. We have no facts, any confirmation on that we're getting 100 damage per second, or they said they're reverting her back to her original state. They just said they're going to be getting rid of that deep chill and they're going to be walking her back a little bit. So that's my guess on what the changes are going to be. Yeah, slightly better range with her wall would be great too. I've been playing the new May since obviously since October when the game released, and I'm still catching myself accidentally throwing walls that I thought I could throw farther. I understand why they nerfed the wall range. It is pretty OP being able to throw a wall just about wherever you want. But it felt so much better. I can understand if they keep the range though. But if you're listening, dude, if you can extend that wall range, man, it would it would be perfect. Mwah. It would feel such like a fluid May gameplay with that extra wall distance. That's my take on it. We'll see where it goes. I'll try to keep you guys updated here on YouTube and on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/TSG_spooky, with the updates on any of the May changes that we get and what happens in season 7. So we got, it's a very exciting time for May players right now.